For all episodes and more information, please visit us at marriedmillions.com.
So, how would another couple who has heard this and knows about the wellness industry say, you know what, I like that, we want to start in this type of industry? What kind of education, what kind of startup capital, how does another couple start in your industry?
We talked about this question last night. I think with you, I guess you just clarified it, that if they know the industry, and my first inclination when reading the question would be, if they would need to get to know the industry. My advice with a couple that wants to start in this industry is, if you know this industry and you have the passion to fuel that desire to be in business and to provide services, then do it. I mean, obviously, like you said, there are some educational requirements depending on how involved you want to get into in healthcare. I mean, healthcare is it's a vast industry. I mean, for example, my Delise and I, we're not nurses, we're not doctors. I have a business degree and a health information systems bachelor's degree. Delise has a sociology and a human biology degree. My interest in wellness came through my desire to personally train. I've been a personal trainer for a long time. So, the desire to see people healthy, the desire to provide a service that I think is very much needed right now, the passion to do that really drove me to start the company. So first, go with where the passion is. Startup capital, it really depends on what your goals are for your family and for the organization, and it also depends on your branding, your mission, your branding strategy. Because we started out of our home, and we presented as when we were out marketing. So we present big, but we're really a very small company. But most people who solicit our services, if we were to mention that our corporate office is in the basement of our house, they would be shocked. We have 13 contractors that are mobilized every month for us to provide services, from nurses to doctors to personal trainers to yoga instructors. So another I guess recommendation for a couple would be, look at your networks. I mean, who in your networks have the requisite skills to do what you want to do? And healthcare is not necessarily fully all direct services. I mean, you have the theoretical piece in healthcare where you can be a consultant on, benefits design, or if it's, just providing insight into the how-tos of getting something done. So it's not necessarily having people that do type of healthcare types of work, like a nurse, a doctor, whatever. It could just be depending on what goals they have for their company in the industry. It could just be mobilizing people with that theoretical knowledge to be experts in a certain area or a certain field. So I would say follow your passion, one. Two, if you know exactly where in the wellness industry you want to, what niche you want to get into, look at your mission and your branding strategy, because that will dictate how you will spend your money. If you want to present big but remain small, you can always utilize the resources that you have. If you want to present big and be big and look for office spaces, then obviously you would need to have some kind of capitalization strategy or cash flow strategy. And if that looks like loans, angel investors, if it looked like using your credit cards or pulling money out of your home, or using 401ks, or whatever your cash machine or cash cow will be, then you obviously need to itemize those costs, because you'll have fixed costs based on that goal. But if someone wants to take our approach, I would say you present big, be overly professional. You make sure that your marketing materials look good, and you can work out your home. Utilize the resources that you have to keep your fixed costs low, because again, like I said, depending on the niche you want to take, it doesn't require, unless you're going to start a clinic or start something that requires a physical existence and licenses and regulations that require you to have a certain physical space. Unless you're doing that, then the startup costs are pretty reasonable.
And I guess I would just give our story in terms of the startup, the startup side. Rahsaan and I, when before I left my job in 2005, we got married in April of '05, and I left in December of '05. And I would say probably between about August of 2005, we said to ourselves, let's try to live off of one check and see if we can do it, and then we know it's okay for you to leave your job. And so that's what we did for a couple of months until December, and we realized, oh, okay, we can live off of one check. And so that's when I left my job in '05. Now then we said, okay, well, we want to start this company. Can we live off? What can we live off of? And what we did was we took out a home equity line out of our home, and we were able to use those. Basically, we said this will give us funds for 1 year, and if within that year we find that we're, we get down to, August, September, we're running out of funds and they're not being, the business is not putting any funds in, then we'll go back and get jobs. And so we found that, after that year, as we were using up the home equity line, the business was starting to make money, and so there wasn't a need to go back to any particular, back to working, because the business was starting to recoup the funds from the home equity line. And so we didn't have to exhaust that. And so we kind of had a plan in terms of, first, let's see if we can live off one check, and then let's see if we can, if we have this money out of our home that can, allow us to work for the business full time for a year. And if somehow, toward the end of that year, it looks like we're depleting these funds, then we need to go back and get jobs. And so, that's our story, kind of how we did it. So it definitely wasn't a walk in faith. It was a plan of action, based on, information we had about our finances to be able to try this thing out. And so we literally just said, let's do it. Let's try it. And, and that was the plan that we set forth. And so far, I'm still at home, and he's still off his job, and it's still going.
Who is in business or who's about to start a business together? What advice in general would you have for that couple?
This is another interesting question, because if it's a married couple, my first advice would be, to really examine your household and see if your household's in order. And what I mean by that is, if there are inconsistencies with the relationship, the marital relationship, if there are things that are unresolved in the husband and wife relationship, then my recommendation is not even to get in business together, because it will just exacerbate the issues that are not business oriented, not business centric, or any other issues that are happening outside of the business will be exacerbated by the stressors that come in the business. So first and foremost, if the couple is a married couple, examine yourselves and come to an agreement that where the marriage is, it's solid to move. It's solid to build another foundation on, because marriage in and of itself, I hate to say it's a business, because I wouldn't define it that way. But it is an organism that's growing, that is constantly changing and requires a lot of attention. And likewise, a business is the same. The makeup is a little bit different. The business structure is a little bit more organizational and not organic, but they both require a level of attention and a level of care. And they both have their troubles. They both have their inconsistencies. They both have their trials. And if you are dealing with both of those simultaneously on soft ground, then it'll be problematic.